Okay, we're up to in the middle of a sugya. You saw how do you kind of a sfina? So everyone seems to say Mashicha, and except Rav Nosson, who said that Mesira and a star, and the Chachamim seem to be undergo. Rav Nosson is the sheet of Chachamim, and Rabbi would say like the Tanakama, excuse me, Oisias. The Tanakama would say Mesira, and Rav Nosson would say what Mesira and the star. He spoke about if you just do Mashicha on a star, you'd only be kind of the paper. So you need something to go ahead and acquire what it says in the paper. That's accomplished according with the Mesira. That's accomplished with the Mesira, where the owner gives it over to you. So we have a case on Ayin Vav Amid Beis, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 6 lines. Amarav Papa. Okay. Amarav Papa. Hayman the Masman le Shtor lechabre. If a person sells a star to his friend, again, so he's selling a star gavia that he'd be able to collect with. Tzarich l'michtav le, he has to write, and this is the star to be kind of that star. Okay, this is the star to be kind of that star. So obviously he's going in the shita of the Chachamim, who requires a star besides Masira. Tzarich, you have to go ahead and michtav le, knei. Let's see the Bach. Knei lecha hu v'chol shibudeha debei. It and all the shibudim that are in it. So if that's the case, he holds like the Chachamim, right? If you look at the Rashbam fellas, about 8 lines up from the bottom. Knei lecha ulepirushi asa. The lehilchas lekrabanan, that a puppet argues holds like the Chachamim. The pliyula the Rebbe, who argues in Rebbe regarding the kinyan of Osios. V'yamri at sheyichto v'yimsar. It's not enough to do Masira, but you have to write a star and then get right. So 2 things are being accomplished by Rav Papa. A, stating you need a star, and B, what exactly has to say in the star. What exactly has to say in the star that's being kind of the other star. So Hayman the Masle Shtor Lechave Tzarech Lemichtav Le Knei Lecha it V'chol Shibuda Debei, and all the Shibudim in it. Rav Ashi says Rav Ashi Amrisul the Shmaitza Kamei de Rav Kahana. I went ahead and I said this your psak over to Rav Kahana. The Armis lay Haima the Kosav Leihachi, right? Haloi Kosav Leihachi Leikana. If he didn't write it, he isn't kind of meaning. If you didn't give over a star at all, meaning he held like Rebbe, that Mesira is enough. Rashbam. Amrisul the Shmaitza, this Vachakti Bishmuazu, I was fighting. Rav Ashi Karebi Sfira. Rav Ashi holds like Rebbe fellas that you only need Mesira. The Osios Niklas Mesira B'lei Shtar Acher. So Hoyle Kosav Lehachi Elamasa B'lei Shtar Acher. If you give over the Shtar Chayv without giving over another star, Loy Kana Kirabanon V'Mai Chilotza Apitz Luchisle Kana. Is the person acquiring this just to use it as a bottle stopper? Why is he buying it? He's buying it because of the power of collecting. So in other words, why in the world would you have to write another star? Why do you think he's getting this in the first place? That he needs to buy, he needs the paper, meaning just the paper? Obviously, he doesn't need just the paper. He wants the what? He wants to buy the chayv. So if that's the reason he's doing it, you don't need a star. It's obvious that the reason he's doing it, and therefore Mesira should be enough. So in this dialogue between Rav Papa and Rav Ashi and Rav Kahana, what you're finding out is that there seems to be a machlokes tanoim, a machlokes amoraim. Do we paskin like the Chachamim? You need both Mesira and the star, or like Rebbe, it's enough to do Mesira. It seems to be one. That's the machlokes. So the chilotza apitz l'chisa utzarech. So bottom line, Amali in. So he told him. He told Rav Ashi, yeah, lotzer v'lotzer, like enochinami. But in other words, until you write a star on it, it's not going to go ahead, and you're not going to be kind of the star with its power of chayv. Amra Meima says Meima hilchasa oisias niknas b'mesira kerebi. The halach is that oisias are nikna b'mesira like Rebbe. Okay. Amalei Rav Ashi la Meimar Gemara. Do you have a Mesorah from your teachers that's the halacha? A svara. Was it a svara that Mesira alone would be kind of the star without the need to write another star? So Rav Ashi, who obviously also held like Rebbe, He hears Amema. He wants to know, Amema, are you saying of a Messiah that you heard from your Rabbeim, or you're saying it's a Svara? Or you're saying it's a Svara? So why did Amema answers Rabbi? Amalei, Amema answered Ravashi, excuse me. Amema says to Ravashi, Gemara. It's a Gemara, it's a Messiah. It's in other words, I have a Messiah, but not that I heard a reason. So Ravashi, Svara Namihu. It's also a Svara, but that a star can't help to be kind of another star, but it's totally what in Masira. It's totally in Masira, right? Why is that? The oisias mili ninu, oisias are words, umili b'mili loy miknin, and words cannot acquire words. Rashbam, mili ninu, devarim hu moicher. He's selling, guys. When you're selling the star, what are you selling? The words of the star, the power of Gevia, right? The guy's not buying the paper. He's buying what? He's buying the words. So the varmu moicher v'loy mamin mamish hilkach ma'isa b'yadayim dahainu mesira hu ikar kaniyasa. The act of being given over to him is the ikar. Avol star acher, another star loy mahani. Why? The mili b'mili loy mikni. Star loy yikner b'star. A star is not acquired with a star. A star is not acquired with a star. What do you need? You need what? You need a Masira where the owner is giving it over to you. That's the Shitas Rashbam. Okay, so we seem to have a conclusion over here that the halacha is that, like Rabbi, that in order to acquire a star with its power to collect, you'd have to go ahead and Masira, but another star would not be necessary. Another star would not be necessary. Read the Gemara Veloy. Don't you hold that what? That Mili could be Mekai Mili? We're going to have a long-winded brisa. We're going to have three cases, and the kasha, guys, is going to be from the third case. Okay, what's the kasha going to be? You'll see that what? Mili can acquire, that a star, words could acquire. So if words could acquire, certainly a star could acquire. Guys, if words could acquire, then certainly a star could acquire. So we're going to have three cases, and the third case is going to be what? Is going to be the kasha. The loy, you mean to tell me that what? That you mean to tell me that a star cannot go ahead what and acquire another star? Aiva Ama Rabba Bar Yitzchak Amravashi, Shtei Shtaris Hain. There's two shtaros. There's a difference between them. If a person, in other words, the din of shtar, that's different. So you're going ahead and you're acquiring something. You're acquiring a field, let's say. And you're calling the field al yidei chalipin. If you might remember from our Perek Zav days, the Kinyan Sudar, which was the most common means of going ahead and facilitating a Kinyan. It didn't require you to be there. The Kohen Makna make a deal. He gives the Sudar over it, and he goes ahead, makes the Kinyan, and it works. So it says the Gemara, Shtei shtaris same, but there's two types of stars. Zacha b'sadeh leplini. A person's going ahead, and you're going to pliny so and so. You're going to acquire this field. How are you going to acquire the field? Through chalipin. You're going to acquire this field through a kinyan chalipin. Okay, let's see Rashbam. Shnei shtaris saying chalukim zemizeh, that are different. So if you would say back in the Gemara, if you'd say zoicha b'sada zula pliny, you be zoicha for so. I tell Yankel, I want you to be zoicha for Yehuda. Okay, now why do we say, guys, if Yehuda could he be zoicha for Yehuda without Yehuda making him a shliach? Of course. Why? Sachan lad m'shlei b'fanav. It's a schiyah for Yehuda. So what? It's zicha. So I can't go back. Once that's done, I can't go back. Good. So then I say, if I say Zacha b'sada zula pliny, and then I write the kosvelo es hashtar, and write it into a star, choyze b'shtar ve'ina choyze b'sada. I can go ahead and retract the writing of the star, but I can't retract the giving of the field. So what are you going to ask? So big schwitz, go ahead. So if you can go ahead and change the star, who cares? The bottom line is, what's the star's purpose? A proof that I sold the field to Yehuda, that I gave it to as a matana to Yehuda. So good. Hype is Morgan. If I go ahead and have charata on the star, it doesn't make a difference. Once Yankel is zoicha for what? For Yehuda, so who cares? Correct?
Who's going to know that he acquired it?
He acquires it. There's no question. I can't go back on it. Meaning I can't go back on it. I can't go to Besdin. In other words, I don't. What?
There's a code.
There's a code that what?
When property gets transferred.
All right. So the code, no, the star is the code. The star, no. Again, once it says Zoicha, I don't need this a raya. Again, a star raya is one thing. Again, we don't need a star raya. He's Zoich in the field. I can't go ahead and make a claim. Yankel says, I said in front of Adam that he's getting it. That's enough. Adam know that I was masakim the field. There's no question about that. Okay, now, what does star do? Star creates a coil. Now, what happens if a coil goes out that's Stern selling his field? What does it do for my credit? It lowers my credit, right? So that's, Tosfos says, that's what you lose over here. The fact that you can have charata on the soda, that's what I'm gaining. The fact that I can have charata on the star, right? If you look at Tosfos, the last Tosfos on the page, V'yesh Leimar. The last Tosfos on the page, like 3 lines down. Again, the question is, if I lost the field anyway, because I gave it away, so good, I can have charata on the star, but who cares? I lost the field anyway, so I can't write a star in a big deal. V'yesh Leimar, the mafsid, I'm mafsid that what if I lose the right to with the star. The fishay star yoitza kol, through a star a kol goes out. Shemacha, that he sold the field, or nasan, or he gave it away. V'layilvu kol kach beratzain. They won't lend to him so much. Beratzain vishayin loy kol kach karkois. In other words, he doesn't have collateral to go ahead and back up future need for money. So there is in other words, there's a mile of having what the paper, right? So I would not lose that right. In other words, if I'm a zaka the field through Yankel, and then I say write a star, those are 2 separate entities. The field I lose because Zachan Lad Mishlei B'fun of Yehud is going to get the field, but the star I can go ahead and not write. Again, the kash is not from here. That's the first case. What's the second case? What happens if I say the following? So because star choiz b'star and choiz b'sada. Al menas shetichtavu loy es hashtar, bigzoicha for Yehuda on menas on that what that you write the star, then what? That's a conditional. Therefore, choiz bein b'star bein b'sada. Then I could have charata, right? Because that one is the sada is contingent upon the star.
Until he writes on the star, so that knocks everything out.
Totally. Now.
Until
right? Until he writes and gives it over to him, right? Look at Rashba. Hachi kamar lo yiska at sheyava yashtar liyadai. You know, it has to come to Yehuda's hand. More than even written, I can have karata. Oh. Even written, it says at sheyava yashtar biyadai. It's got to get to the. In other words, he's not zoichi. Yehuda's not zoichi the karka until what he gets the star. Now, what about the following? Says Rav Chia bar Rav and Amar Abahuna shloisha shtaris saying. No, there's a third one. So we had 2 cases by shtaris. One, they both could change his mind by shtaris, but the first case he can't change his mind about giving the field. The second one he could. And now says Rav Huna third. Now let's say the following. I need money. And I have a piece of real estate. And I really need money. And I'm looking for a buyer. I come up with this great idea. I'm going to write a star on this piece of real estate. That this person and I'll leave the names of, the buyer in blank, and I'll write it up, and I'll say that so and so bought the star for X amount, and it would behoove me if I need to go ahead and need the money quickly to have a star in my hand to facilitate this, right? So the only one who could possibly lose is me, because if I lose the star and somebody else fills in the blanks, I've got the tsaris. But in other words, but you're permitted to do that. You're permitted to do that. So this is the third case. So now, Shloisha Shtar is saying, Trey Hodamaran, the first 2 we said, the first one it was Zoicha, and then it was a star. The second one, that the schia, the whole deal was contingent upon what? The star. And Idaf, the third case, in Kodam Moicher, V'kosev es star on the days, if the Moicher goes ahead, he writes the star, right, to have it ready, Ke'osa sheshaninan, like those that we learn, you could write a star for the seller, because after all, he's the only one that could lose. Now, so so let's say I'm selling the land to Yankel. He goes ahead and he's machzik in the karka. He doesn't have the star. but he makes a chazaka in the karka. Nikna shtar b'chol makom shehu. Yankel would go ahead and acquire the shtar wherever it is. So I wrote a shtar. I don't have it with me. Yankel goes ahead, gives me the money, goes ahead and makes a kinyan in the karka. He's kind of the shtar wherever it is. Good? He's kind of the shtar wherever it is. And this is what it says in Masechta Kedushin. Nechasim she'en lemachrayis metaltalin. Niknin can be acquired in nechasim she'esh lemachrayis b'kesef b'shtar v'chazaka. This is the famous kinyan called kinyan agav. We're used to this kinyan. If a person's going ahead and you're selling a bunch of metaltalin and you're selling a little piece of land, once you make the kinyan in the little piece of land, either kesef shtar chazaka, everything comes along. So Mamela, the shtar has a din of metaltalin. Yankel's making a kinyan chazaka wad in the karka. He's kind of wherever. Now, what's the kasha? So let's see Rashbam, guys. You see where it says the Mishnah in the Gemara? Parallel to that, up at 2 lines. Parallel up at that in 2 lines. Guys, you see it? The Kasal Kedaitach? Fellas, you have it? Okay, it says the Mishnah in the Gemara and the Masnisa, and go up a few lines of Kasal Kedaitach. Now, the Havamina is Hashta da shtar b'mili ba'alma mikni. The Havamina now is you're not acquiring the shtar through kinyan agav, which is a shver. It's a very shver Havamina, but you're being acquire it with words. In other words, you know why Yankel's getting it? Because I want him to get it. I wrote it and I want him to get it. The Havamina is he's not acquiring it agav the karka. He's acquiring the shtar because I'm saying you should acquire the shtar. Good. Now, even though he never got the shtar, kanale. So, guys, guys outside eye contact? What's the biggest svara to acquire a shtar? With a dibur or with another shtar? Obviously, another shtar. Another shtar is stronger than a dibur. So, Fred Akasha, you're telling me, right? The halacha is like Rabbi that to acquire a shtar, all it requires is mesira, because one shtar, which is words, can't acquire another shtar, which is words. I'm showing you a case where words can acquire the shtar. My desire that Yankel should get the shtar is him getting the shtar. Kol shekain, another shtar could go ahead and acquire it. What?
It's less than words.
It's just dibur, right?
It's not even deeper. It's his desire.
But no, I'm saying it's a rutzin. No, I'm saying let's say even verbalize it. Let's finish Rashbam now. So kol shekain le'el before the shtar b'shtar mikni. One shtar can be acquired with another shtar. The ilu hachafila b'mili grade the kanile. You be kind of just with words. Below shtar the kol shekain the mikni b'mili aksuv b'shtar. Certainly you should acquire with words a good b'shtar. Okay, outside. Let's go outside. What's the Gemara's got? The sugya is extension of yesterday. We saw a machloikis yesterday. How do you acquire a shtar? We saw a machloikis yesterday. How do you acquire a shtar? Do you acquire a shtar through just Mesira, or do you need Mesira and another shtar? Rav Ashi paskin like Rabbi, all you need is Mesira. Ameimer paskin like Rabbi, all you need is Mesira. Rav Ashi is Rabbi. Is that a Ameimer? Is that a Mesira or is it a Svara? It's Mesira. Says Rav Ashi, I have a Svara. What's my Svara? Mili, a shtar, which is words, can't acquire Mili words. Fred Gemara Kasha, I have a case over here where a person goes ahead. He writes a shtar for a sale. He has the shtar in his possession, but it's not on him. He finds the guy who wants to buy it. If the guy gives him money, makes the chazaka in the ground, he's kind of the shtar. The Havamina, you know, he's kind of the shtar because I told him to be kind of the shtar. My words. So madach, my words can go ahead and be makna a shtar. Certainly another shtar, which is stronger than words because it's on paper, could go ahead and be makna kasha on what? On Avashi, that you say mili. What are you talking about? Okay, this is based. Now, what's the obvious teretz is? Yankel's not being quiet because I wanted to acquire it. Yankel's being quiet because there's something called the kinyan agav. It's a shver havamina, but that's the havamina. Havamina is that it's my desire for him to be kaina. In fact, he's kaina. Why? Because since he's kaina the karka, he's kaina the metaltalin with shtar. So that's totally different. And for the Gemara, agav shiny, agav's different. The matbeya d'lei nikni bechalipin. You can't be kaina matbeya bechalipin If you remember, because your das is on the tzura, right? Das is on the tzura. The agav ara nikni, however, you could acquire it with agav ara. So what do you see? That kinyan agav works, where usually kinyan from a talpin doesn't work. Agav does work. Ki hoder Rav Papa, havile tresa alfi zuze. Rav Papa had 12,000 zuz. Rav Papa was a rich guy. Remember, he was a big brewer. He was a big brewer. Brewer. Right? The beer that made Milwaukee famous. Schlitz? I don't know. Yeah, whatever. You remember beer commercials and cigarette commercials? Right? Rheingold, Ballantyne. Rheingold was New York. Schlitz was not in New York. Right. Ballantyne. Kihadra Papa Havle Trace Alfi Zuzi Bechazoi Akninu only in this year. Bachazinu. I don't get this. Unfortunately for me, it's on tape. Anyway,
The rate section of it.
it's right. So we saw that he was makneh to Rav Shmuel Baracha agav asifa the base. This Gemara and Baba Kama. We had this, guys. You know what? Listen, if I have money by you, and you're returning it by a shliach, you're not going to want to give it to him because he's not chayiv ba'insin. So what happens if he owns it? In other words, if I'm makneh the rights to him, now he owns it. So Rav Papa went ahead. He was makneh the money to Rav Shmuel Baracha. Therefore, the person of Chuzai would give him the money, right? And then he'll give him the money. In other words, I'm not going to give money to somebody who, if it's lost, I'm still going to be chayiv the chayiv. So I'll give money. I'm the Baal boss now. It's my money, so I'll give it to him gladly. I'll give it to you. I give it to Rav Papa. I don't care. As long as I pay off my chayiv, I'm good. So what did he do? Rav Papa gave the rights to Rav Shmuel to go ahead and collect it. How did he do that? How can he be makneh the money? He was makneh agav, kinyan agav. So that's the proof that agav you can be makneh the money. Says the Gemara, agav asifa the base. He was makneh agav the lintel of his house. Kiyas nafik la'apei. When he came back, Rav Shmuel came back. So came Rav Papa to meet him ad Tavach until the place called Tavach. Okay, so in conclusion, again, the halacha is in conjunction with Rabbi. Oisi as a star, you do not need another star. It's enough to go ahead and just Masira will be enough to do it. So we said if you sell a ship and include it in the sale or not include in the sales, like avodim. They would have avodim who would go ahead and they'd be in charge of either washing the ship or they would be in charge of schlepping stuff. The matzufim are the bags that they would keep the cargo in. By antiki, what is exactly is antiki? Rav Papa is iska de bagva. That's the cargo that's on the ship. That's the cargo that's on the ship. So that's the first Mishnah Meches Asfina, which was, of course, accompanied by all the Sfina most famous agaritas that you'll ever come across. Okay, going along the lines with these prakim, what's part of a sale, what's not part of a sale. So, mocha esakarin, if you sell a wagon, let's do the Rashbam, guys, before we see the Mishnah, okay? Asnisan, karin is an agol is a wagon. A pardois is a ferd. It's usually a mule, right? When they called you, when your Rebbe called you a ferd, you thought he was calling you a horse. He was calling you a mule, right?
Well, that changes a lot.
Now you're more upset.
Right? Listen.
When he hit us, it's because he wanted us to move.
I got cold.
Maybe he's making kinyan on that.
Okay, anyway, a produce.
Not make it kinyan.
Okay, guys. A produce is hamoishchis bekarin. They pull wagons. Ubeshena dukin bayim. We're speaking where it wasn't connected to the wagon. So the products were not connected to the wagon. Next Rashbam, Semed, Hua oil, the Kliho Agola Katana, the Egla Atzma Mechar Mes Hashvarim Yachad. This is the yoke. The Semed Baka, this is the yoke. Okay? So this is the yoke. Okay. So now the norm is that a korin is associated with a ferd, with a paradise, and a Semed is associated with Bakar. Okay, so says the Mishnah, Macheres HaKarin, if you sell a wagon, Le'macheres HaProdais, if they're not attached, then you're not selling the Prodais. Macheres HaProdais, if you're selling the Prodais, Le'macheres HaKarin, you're not selling the wagon. Macharas at Semet, if you sell the yoke, like Macharas Abakar, you're not selling the Heshel, the Rinda, you're not selling the cattle. Macharas Abakar, if you're selling the cattle, like Macharas at Semet. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hadomin Maidian, the amount of money you spend would tell you what's included in the sale. Now, this is not karka. You say this is not karka, right? So therefore, l'chayre, you should have a svar to say indicative. If you're spending X amount of money, okay. Well, it's not.
That look at the amount of money he's spending. It can't be.
Well, this was the first time you're dealing with metalflon. The other times you're dealing with karka.
Well, we had other cases.
Now, so Yehuda Adom Moedin Kate said, "Amalei Mochlit Simadcha, sell me your yoke, the Masayim Zuz. Hadav Yedu Hashenat Semed Masayim Zuz. So l'chayr, if you're spending Masayim Zuz, you must be buying the bucker as well. Chachamim Moimim Ein Hadamim Raya. There's no Raya. Maybe it's giving us a matana. In other words, there's a svara that there's no Raya. In other words, maybe let's say it's worth $50. And it's giving you 200. Maybe it's giving you 150 as a matana.
He's throwing the mules with the wagon.
No. In other words, no. He's not selling you. If he's selling you the wagon, he's only selling you the wagon. You spent $200 on a wagon, right? He's giving you the bucket. He's giving you not giving you the bucket. He's giving you he's giving you the extra money. You're not getting the other stuff. If Yehuda wants to say the money's indicative, you should get both. The Chacham say you're only getting one. It's extra money. That extra money is a matana, but you're not getting the other thing. You're not getting the other thing. That's what he's telling you. You're not getting the other thing. Look at the Rashbam, guys. Right before it gets very wide, 2 lines up. Ein adam emraya el matana bikesh litei toy hamaiser. He wanted to give him the extra matana. Inami avi mekach tois. Maybe he's doing it that it should be mekach tois. That means gemara. In other words, why is he doing it? He wants to retract on the deals. He wants it back out. So you won't back out. You know what? He'll make it a mekach twice by overpaying. Right. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. So Tana Rav Tachlifa Bama Rava Kamei the Rabavo Macharas Akarin Macharas Apradais. If you sell the wagon, you are selling the mules. Fred Gemara Vanan Loy Machar Tanan. We learned you're not selling it. So Amalei Ismaya. So he asked Rabbi Vahu, should I go ahead and delete this? Amalei. So Rabbi Vahu told him, in other words, the Mishnayos guys, the prices were not edited well. So maybe he's telling him, if the Mishnah's which were edited well is going to be is going to be the opposite of a brisa. So we should, if anything, to edit, you can edit the brisa. So he said, should I go ahead and change it to what? To that it's not part of the sale rather than part of the sale. So Amalei, so Rabbi told him, no, to target masnisech, ba'adukim boy. Touch the brisa where it's aduk. So like Rashi told us, when do we say it's not part of the sale if it's not connected? But if it's connected, it's part of the sale. Machar said semerle machar said bakar hechidami ilem with the kari that simda. If it's a place that they call it a yoke, ulabaka bakar pshita. What's the chiddush? In other words, a yoke is a yoke, bakar is bakar. Why would you think it goes together? Simda zavin lay bakar lay zavin lay. He sold him at simda. He didn't sell him at a bakar. So this is a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda wants to say domim my dia, right? L'chayr, you see that depending if the language should go ahead and be indicative of what's included in the deal. You get $200 for a yoke. So Baka comes along for the ride, and now it's a kashan of Yehuda. So the karile nami lebakat simda, the kuli zavanle. So then it's a kashan the chachamim, right? If you can go ahead and everyone calls what bakat simda together, then he's selling the whole thing. So the chayr should depend on what people call it. Says, well, you're right. Like tzricha, it's speaking about askud the karile simda ula baka. It's dealing in a place they call a yoke, and they call cattle. However, there are those who call bucket simda. Sam. Now, how do you know who the guy is? Rabbi Yehuda Sava Hadamim Maidian. In other words, if he's going to spend $200, and since there are some people who call a yoke of oxen that goes together, he's spending it on both. Rabbanan Savri Ain't Adam in Raya. Just because he gave 200, and even though people call a yoke of oxen, since there are people who don't call a yoke of oxen, maybe he's giving you as a matana, or he wants to go back on the deal. Right? Where?
Because some people pull the yoke oxen and.
In other words, we can't be machriya. That's what we're saying. You can't use the terms they use as a means of being machriya.
No, there were two. Say there were two. The price.
Again, but the price could be matana. Again, the price
I'm
doesn't.
saying, but they both
Uh,
together don't have any more co-op than each.
No,
one.
because again, you don't know who holds what. Again, Rabbi Yehuda says, "Oh, it must be that." The Chacham say, "No, I have another svara." Since there are people who don't call it, and B, and B did the svara say matana. So I have the same way. I have the price idea. I have the svara. Not both are winning arguments. Now, the din of Aina, guys. Let's go back in time. Azov, 3 dinim. If you undercharge less than a sixth, the deal is on. Deal is on. If you overcharge more than a sixth, mekach tois. If it's exactly a sixth, the deal is on, and you return the oina, and you return the sixth. Okay, less than a sixth, deal is on. More than a sixth, deal is off. Exactly a sixth, deal is on, and you return the extra.
Even matan.
Right?
In this case, we're talking about matan. Right? I gave more money than I give.
That's a svara. That's a svara. It's not, he didn't give us a matana. He gave it as a sale. He sold it. We're just touching up that he's giving it as a matana. So now, the ein adam raya. So now you have a kasha. If you're telling me, now fellas, before we begin. So he gave him $200 for a yoke, and you say it's not a raya, right? Good. Is the sale a good sale? It's a good sale, right? In other words, really, the whole thing should be bottled because he paid more. 200. No yoke costs $200. It's more than a sixth. It's but we know it is a good sale. In other words, he says the Chachamim hold that the damim ain't a damim idea, whether it's a good sale or not, and the deal goes through. So Fred the Gemara, the ain't a damim raya lahavi bittul mekach. If right, it should be bottled. If it was overcharged more than a sixth. The chitema, what are you going to say? Bittul mekach rabbanan less lahu, that the Chachamim do not hold a what of bittul mekach, right? Maybe it has the same exact halacha as a sixth, that the mekach is kayim, and you just get back the extra money. Guys, maybe, in other words, fellas, I gave you 3 levels, correct? I gave you the level overcharge the sixth. Maybe they don't hold overcharge the sixth. Maybe they hold it's the same as B, where the deal is on and you just return that amount. So maybe the chitema bittul mekach l'rabbanan less lahu. How can you possibly entertain the idea that the chachamim do not hold a bittul mekach? But Tanan, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Amoicha Sefer Torah, Behema Umargalias, Ein Lehem Einah. In these cases, there's no hana because the people spend a lot of money on these, mashma and anything else. Amru loy amru ela es elu, right? They amru ela es elu, only these, but anything else, there is a din of einah, meaning, and there's a din of bittul mekach. So, and for the Gemara, my ein damim raya nami diktani dahavi bittul mekach. In other words, your assumption was that what? That the deal is still on? No, the deal's off. That's why you spent so much money to be mevatel the deal, right? Ibay seima ki amar rabbanan no bittul mekach. That's b'chtei shoydas toy, right? That's where b'hoidas toiva. That's where it's subject to what? To knowledge that you made a mistake. For example, you buy something 5 for 7, or you buy something 6 for 8. In other words, there, it's hard to, it's not so discernible, the difference. However, meaning it doesn't make a mistake. Das toy means you make a mistake. So I was supposed to sell you something for $10. I sold it to you for $15, or vice versa. But if something's $10 and you're selling it for $200, everyone knows that difference. So therefore, then we don't say it. There, if that's the case, Ki am Rabbanan, I know bittul mekach b'chtei shoy das toya, where we know. Al b'chtei she'ena das toya, das doesn't make a mistake. Lie. Why? Why won't we say this? Why won't we say the mekach not toyas? Because aim matona yav like. So guys, you have two pshatim now. What's the kasha? If the chachamim hold that money is not my idea, so therefore, why is the sale still on? And for the Gemara, it's bittul mekach. And for the Gemara, you're right, the sale's not on, it's bittul mekach. A second svara, when did it say bittul mekach? That's when the guy couldn't possibly know, right? It's 7, 8, he charge you more than a 6, but it's not something that he could have known. Bashen came where the discrepancy is great, and we know he's overcharging. In that case, he did it on purpose. Why? To give you some atana, and then maybe we don't say bittul mekach. He doesn't want the mekach to be batal. Right. Okay, that was a svara of Rashi. What you might think why he would do it. That's a svara of Rashi. Why you might think he'd do it, but not necessarily. You have you have a sitter?
You ever need to